Welcome to the Sleepy Mind channel. Tonight, we will explore the hidden structure of your bones and the remarkable living framework quietly supporting your body throughout your life. Beneath your skin exists an intricate internal world built from living material that carries your weight, protects delicate organs, supports movement, stores minerals, and constantly reshapes itself through silent biological activity. Most people rarely stop to think about their skeleton at all, yet without it the human body could not maintain its shape, balance, or stability for even a single moment. If you enjoy videos like these, feel free to like and subscribe and explore the playlists filled with relaxing stories about science, history, nature, and the hidden systems quietly shaping the world around us every day and night. At first glance, bones seem simple. They appear hard, still, and lifeless, almost like carved stone hidden beneath the body. People often imagine the skeleton as a rigid collection of dry supports, holding everything upright like wooden beams inside a building. Yet the reality is far more fascinating. Bones are alive. They contain cells, blood supply, living tissue, minerals, proteins, and constantly changing internal systems, carrying out quiet maintenance throughout your entire life. Even now, while you rest peacefully listening, your skeleton remains active beneath the surface in ways most people never notice. The strange thing about the skeleton is how invisible it becomes during ordinary life. A person may walk through a city, carry bags of groceries, turn their head toward a window, climb stairs, or stretch their arms above their shoulders without ever thinking about the internal framework making movement possible. The skeleton works with such consistency and reliability that the mind almost forgets it exists at all. Yet behind every motion, every balanced step, and every upright posture stands a vast internal structure quietly supporting the body against gravity throughout the day. The human skeleton provides structure to the body. Without this structure, the familiar shape of the human form would disappear completely. Muscles, organs, and soft tissues rely on the framework of bones for organization and support. The skeleton carries weight, maintains balance, and creates the stable architecture, allowing the body to function as one coordinated system. In many ways, the skeleton resembles the hidden steel framework inside a skyscraper. People standing outside the building may only notice windows and walls, yet deep inside the structure, enormous supports quietly carry pressure and weight through carefully organized patterns. Your skeleton works in much the same way. Every movement sends force traveling through bones, joints, and supporting tissues. Standing still may feel effortless, yet even during quiet rest, the body constantly manages pressure, balance, and stability. Bones absorb weight from above while distributing force downward through the body into the ground beneath your feet. This hidden engineering operates continuously without conscious effort. The skeleton is made from many individual bones connected together in one larger system. Some bones are long and narrow, while others are broad and curved. Some are built for support, while others are shaped for protection or movement. Yet despite these differences, they all function together as parts of one connected framework, supporting the body as a complete living structure. Every bone contributes to the balance and organization of the whole system. It is remarkable to consider how much trust human beings place in their skeleton every day without realizing it. A person may lean forward, twist sideways, lift heavy objects, or jump from one surface to another without consciously calculating how the body will remain stable. The skeleton quietly manages these forces beneath awareness. Tiny shifts in balance happen continuously. Pressure moves through the framework in organized patterns. Muscles pull against bones, while joints guide movement with extraordinary precision. Imagine an enormous suspension bridge stretching calmly across dark water at night. Cars move steadily across the surface, while deep below the hidden supports absorb pressure and distribute weight through cables, beams, and foundations. Most travelers crossing the bridge never stop to think about the engineering quietly supporting them from beneath. Your skeleton operates with similar silence and reliability. Hidden beneath skin and muscle exists a carefully organized support system carrying the weight of your body throughout your life. A solid framework allows stability. Without stability, movement itself becomes impossible. A body made only from soft tissue could not stand upright against gravity. Muscles require firm attachment points in order to pull and create movement. Bones provide these stable surfaces while forming the framework, allowing the body to maintain shape and organization. Stability is the quiet foundation beneath every action you perform throughout the day. The relationship between bones and muscles is especially fascinating because movement depends completely on their connection. Muscles alone cannot create useful motion without something solid to pull against. Bones create the rigid framework, while muscles provide force and movement. Together, they operate almost like ropes and beams, working together inside a complex machine. When muscles contract, they pull on bones through strong connective tissues, allowing the body to walk, bend, turn, lift, and move smoothly through space. Most people think of movement as something simple and automatic, yet beneath every motion lies an extraordinary coordination between muscles, bones, joints, balance systems, and the nervous system itself. Even a quiet walk across a room involves countless tiny adjustments happening continuously beneath awareness. Bones help guide these movements while maintaining stability against changing forces and shifting balance. The body relies deeply on this hidden structural order. Every part of the skeleton contributes to a larger framework, supporting movement, posture, and protection simultaneously. The human body is not simply a collection of separate pieces, but a carefully integrated system where each structure supports the others through constant coordination. The human body lives constantly under the influence of gravity. From the moment a person stands upright in the morning until they finally rest again at night, gravity pulls continuously downward against every muscle, organ, and tissue inside the body. Without an organized skeletal framework supporting this pressure, the body could not maintain its shape or balance at all. The skeleton creates the stable internal architecture, allowing human beings to move through the world while remaining upright against this invisible force surrounding them constantly. In many ways, the skeleton resembles the deep support system hidden beneath a large suspension bridge. People crossing the bridge may only notice the road above the water, while rarely considering the immense framework beneath them, carrying weight and resisting pressure. Steel cables remain under constant tension. Foundations absorb enormous force. Hidden supports distribute stress carefully through the structure to prevent collapse. The skeleton performs similar work quietly inside the human body throughout life. Bones create the stable surfaces, allowing muscles to operate efficiently. Muscles attach directly to bones through strong connective tissues called tendons. Without bones to pull against, muscles alone could not produce controlled movement. The body depends completely on this relationship between soft tissue and rigid framework. Bones provide stability, while muscles provide force. Together, they create movement through coordinated tension and release happening continuously beneath conscious awareness. This partnership between bones and muscles is one of the most elegant systems inside the human body because neither system functions fully alone. A muscle can contract with tremendous strength, yet without a stable framework, its force would accomplish very little. Bones transform muscular force into useful movement by acting as levers inside the body. Every step, turn, lift, and stretch depends on this hidden mechanical relationship operating silently beneath the skin. Imagine a large crane at a construction site lifting heavy steel high into the air. The cables provide pulling force, yet the rigid metal frame of the crane provides stability and direction. Without the stable framework, the force alone would become uncontrolled and ineffective. Your body works through a similar balance. Muscles generate power, while bones guide and support that power through organized movement. Movement itself depends entirely on this connection between muscle and bone. When a muscle contracts, it shortens slightly, pulling against the attached bone and creating motion around a joint. Thousands of these tiny, coordinated actions happen continuously every day without conscious calculation. Even the simple act of lifting a hand involves muscles pulling on bones through carefully arranged angles and attachment points developed through millions of years of biological refinement. The body relies deeply on organized structure because movement without stability quickly becomes dangerous and inefficient. Every system inside the body depends on careful coordination between support and motion. Even something as simple as standing still requires constant muscular adjustment and skeletal support to maintain balance against gravity. The human body is never truly motionless. Tiny corrections happen continuously beneath awareness as muscles and bones work together to keep posture stable. Architecture offers another useful comparison for understanding this hidden stability. Tall buildings must remain flexible enough to handle wind and pressure while staying strong enough to support enormous weight. Engineers carefully balance rigidity and movement within the design so the framework remains stable without becoming brittle. The skeleton functions in much the same way. Bones provide strength and support, while joints and muscles allow flexibility and controlled motion throughout the body. This balance between stability and movement is one of the defining features of the skeleton. A completely rigid body could not move efficiently, yet a body without stable support would collapse under its own weight. The skeleton solves this challenge by combining strong, supportive structures with carefully organized movement systems. Bones remain connected through joints, while muscles guide motion in controlled patterns across the framework. Every movement sends force traveling quietly through the skeleton. Walking across the floor transfers pressure through the feet into the legs, hips, spine, and upper body. Lifting an object changes force distribution throughout the skeleton almost instantly. Even breathing causes tiny movements within the ribcage as muscles expand and contract around the lungs. The body constantly manages these shifting forces through its hidden internal architecture. The skeleton therefore acts not only as support, but also as an organized system for handling pressure safely and efficiently. Bones absorb force, distribute stress, and provide stability while remaining light enough for movement. This hidden engineering allows the body to remain both strong and mobile at the same time. It is easy to forget how extraordinary this coordination truly is, because the body performs it so quietly and reliably. Human beings move through life without needing to consciously direct every muscle or calculate every balance adjustment. The skeleton and muscular system work together continuously beneath awareness, carrying weight and guiding movement through patterns refined over countless generations of biological evolution. For most of human history, people viewed bones as lifeless material hidden beneath the body, almost like wooden beams or carved stone supporting soft tissue from within. Even today, many people still imagine the skeleton as something dry, silent, and inactive, a rigid framework that simply exists without change throughout life. Yet the reality is far more remarkable. Bones are living tissues filled with active cells, blood supply, constantly changing materials, and continuous biological activity occurring quietly every moment of every day. The strange thing about bones is that they appear so permanent from the outside. A large tree may sway in the wind. Muscles visibly contract and move beneath the skin. The lungs expand with every breath. Yet bones remain mostly hidden and motionless beneath the body, giving the impression of stillness and stability. This illusion makes it easy to forget that deep inside the skeleton, countless microscopic processes continue without pause throughout a person's entire life. Bones are made from living cells and specialized biological materials working together in highly organized ways. Tiny cells inside bone tissue constantly monitor strength, pressure, damage, and mineral balance. Some cells help build new bone material, while others remove older material no longer needed. Blood vessels travel through bones, carrying oxygen and nutrients to living tissue hidden inside the framework. Far from being inactive, the skeleton operates as one of the most carefully maintained systems in the human body. Even now, while you rest quietly listening, your bones are alive with activity too small to feel directly. Deep inside the skeleton, microscopic cells continue their work silently beneath awareness. Old material is gradually broken down and replaced. Minerals move carefully through the body. Tiny repairs happen constantly across the internal framework. The skeleton may feel solid and unchanging from the outside, yet underneath exists an ongoing world of quiet maintenance and renewal. This process continues throughout life from childhood into old age. The skeleton a person carries at one stage of life is not composed entirely of the exact same material years later. Bone tissue is continuously renewed through carefully balanced biological processes, replacing older material with newly formed structure. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a city quietly rebuilding itself every night, while the people living there remain asleep and unaware. Imagine a vast stone cathedral standing calmly for hundreds of years. From the outside it appears permanent and unmoving, yet behind the scenes workers constantly repair weathered surfaces, replace weakened supports, strengthen foundations, and maintain the structure so it remains stable over time. Bones function in a surprisingly similar way. The framework appears stable and permanent, yet countless microscopic repairs and adjustments continue constantly beneath the surface to preserve strength and organization. This ongoing maintenance helps explain why bones are classified as living tissue rather than inert material. Living tissue responds, changes, repairs itself, and adapts over time. Bones do all of these things continuously. The skeleton is not frozen in place like carved marble. It is dynamic, responsive, and biologically active throughout the entire lifespan of the body. One of the most fascinating aspects of this living system is how carefully balanced the process must remain. Too much removal of old material could weaken bones over time. Too much uncontrolled growth could disrupt normal structure and movement. The body therefore regulates bone maintenance through remarkably precise biological control systems, operating quietly beneath awareness every day. The human skeleton also changes gradually across different stages of life. During childhood and adolescence, bones grow larger, stronger, and denser as the body develops. In adulthood, the focus shifts more toward maintenance and renewal, rather than rapid growth. Later in life, the balance between removal and replacement may slowly change again. Throughout all these stages, the skeleton remains active and responsive, rather than fixed and motionless. This idea can feel surprising, because people often associate bones only with hardness and rigidity. Yet beneath that hardness exists living biology, constantly carrying out maintenance. The skeleton is closer to a carefully tended garden than a collection of dead stones. Old material is cleared away. New material forms in organized patterns. Tiny systems communicate continuously to maintain balance and stability across the framework. The body relies deeply on this continuous maintenance because bones experience constant pressure throughout daily life. Walking, lifting, turning, standing, and even sitting place force across the skeleton repeatedly. Tiny stresses travel through bones every moment. Without ongoing repair and renewal, damage would gradually accumulate over time. Instead, the body quietly monitors and maintains the skeleton through living cellular activity happening every day. Scientists studying bone biology often describe the skeleton as an active organ system rather than simple support material. This perspective changes how people understand the body itself. The skeleton is not merely scaffolding hidden beneath soft tissue. It is a living participant in the larger biology of the body, constantly interacting with movement, minerals, circulation, pressure, and internal balance. The more closely researchers examine bones, the more extraordinary their hidden complexity appears. What once seemed like simple hard material now reveals itself as organized living tissue filled with microscopic activity and careful biological coordination. The skeleton quietly rebuilds itself while carrying the weight and movement of the body through every stage of life. Even during deep rest, the living framework beneath you remains active. Tiny cells continue replacing material. Nutrients travel through hidden blood vessels inside bone tissue. Quiet repairs unfold invisibly across the skeleton. The hidden architecture supporting your body is never truly inactive. It remains alive, responsive, and continuously maintained beneath the surface throughout your life. The quiet process of bone maintenance continues throughout the entire span of human life. From early childhood through old age, the skeleton remains active beneath the surface, constantly adjusting, repairing, replacing, and renewing itself in ways most people never notice. Bones may appear stable and permanent from the outside, yet deep within the framework, the body carries out continuous work to preserve strength and organization over time. This ongoing renewal is one of the most remarkable hidden processes inside the human body, because it happens so quietly and consistently that people rarely think about it at all. A person may wake each morning feeling essentially like the same individual they were the day before, yet inside the skeleton, countless microscopic changes continue unfolding. Tiny sections of older bone material are gradually removed, while new material forms carefully in its place. The framework supporting the body is not frozen in time. It is dynamic and constantly maintained throughout life. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a large historic bridge, quietly undergoing maintenance year after year. From a distance, the structure appears permanent and unchanging. Cars continue crossing it daily, while most people never stop to think about the hidden repair work taking place behind the scenes. Yet deep within the framework, engineers constantly inspect supports, strengthen weakened areas, replace damaged sections, and reinforce critical structures to preserve stability over time. Your bones function with similar quiet persistence beneath the surface of the body. Old material inside bones can gradually be replaced through carefully balanced biological activity. Specialized cells break down tiny areas of older bone, while other cells help form new material in organized patterns. This process occurs continuously throughout life. Even during periods of rest, the skeleton remains biologically active, carrying out countless invisible adjustments and repairs beneath awareness. Imagine a large railway system remaining fully operational while workers continuously repair tracks beneath passing trains. Maintenance crews quietly replace damaged sections, strengthen weak points, and preserve stability while movement continues uninterrupted across the system. Bone renewal works in much the same way. The skeleton remains active and supportive, while microscopic rebuilding continues invisibly within the framework every day. This process helps maintain strength across the skeleton over long periods of time. Daily life places enormous pressure on bones through movement, posture, and physical activity. Walking transfers force through the legs and spine. Lifting objects shifts pressure across joints and supporting structures. Even standing still creates constant downward force from gravity against the skeleton. Without ongoing maintenance, tiny damage could slowly accumulate across the framework over many years. Instead, the body quietly monitors and repairs the skeleton continuously. Biology operates without pause beneath awareness, preserving structure through countless microscopic adjustments. The skeleton therefore behaves less like a rigid collection of supports and more like a carefully managed living system, constantly responding to time and pressure. This living adaptability becomes especially clear across different stages of life. During childhood, the skeleton grows rapidly as bones lengthen and strengthen alongside the rest of the body. In adolescence, growth continues while the framework becomes larger and more capable of supporting adult movement and posture. Later in adulthood, the focus shifts more heavily toward maintenance and preservation. Throughout all these stages, the skeleton remains biologically active rather than fixed or permanent. Scientists sometimes describe bone as a dynamic tissue because it continuously responds to conditions inside and outside the body. Dynamic systems are not static or frozen. They adapt, change, and reorganize over time in response to pressure and biological need. Bones quietly demonstrate this principle every day through their ongoing renewal and maintenance. The idea that bones are constantly changing can feel surprising, because human beings naturally think of the skeleton as something solid and permanent. Yet nearly every system inside the body depends on continuous maintenance in order to function properly. Skin renews itself, blood cells are replaced, hair grows continuously, muscles respond to activity and strain. Bones participate in this same broader pattern of living biological renewal, happening constantly throughout the body. One reason this hidden maintenance feels so fascinating is because it unfolds entirely beneath ordinary awareness. People can feel muscles working or lungs expanding during movement, yet the quiet rebuilding inside bones remains invisible and silent. Deep inside the skeleton, microscopic cells continue their work patiently without sensation or conscious attention. Tiny repairs occur, materials shift, structure is preserved through continuous biological effort. This hidden activity also reveals how deeply organized the body truly is. The human skeleton is not simply a collection of hard parts assembled together randomly. It is a coordinated living framework supported through constant communication between cells, minerals, circulation, pressure, and biological regulation. Every part of the system contributes to maintaining stability over time. The skeleton may appear calm and motionless from the outside, yet beneath that stillness exists a world of continuous activity and renewal. Bones are not lifeless supports, frozen in place through time. They are living tissues constantly maintained through careful biological processes, unfolding silently every day of your life. One of the most surprising things about bones is that their strength does not come from a single material alone. The skeleton may appear simple from the outside, yet deep inside bone tissue exists a carefully balanced combination of minerals and organic material working together to create both hardness and flexibility at the same time. This balance is one of the reasons bones are so remarkably effective as living structural supports inside the human body. Many people imagine bones as being similar to solid rock because they feel hard and rigid when touched. Yet if bones behaved exactly like stone, the skeleton would actually become dangerously fragile. Stone can resist pressure well, but it also tends to crack suddenly when bent or stressed beyond its limit. Human bones must handle a very different challenge. They need enough strength to support weight and resist force, while still maintaining enough flexibility to absorb movement and pressure without constantly shattering. The body solves this problem through an extraordinary combination of materials inside bone tissue. Bones are composed partly of minerals and partly of organic material. These materials work together in carefully organized ways, creating a structure that remains strong without becoming excessively brittle. The result is a living framework capable of supporting movement, absorbing force, and adapting to physical demands throughout life. Calcium is one of the major mineral components found inside bone. Many people recognize calcium because of its importance in nutrition and health, yet few stop to consider how deeply it contributes to the hidden architecture of the skeleton. Calcium helps provide hardness and strength to bone tissue, allowing bones to resist pressure and support the body against gravity. Without enough mineral strength, the skeleton would struggle to maintain stability under the constant forces of daily life. Phosphorus is another important mineral present within bones. Together, calcium and phosphorus form strong mineral structures, woven throughout the framework of bone tissue. These minerals help create the firmness and durability, allowing bones to function as reliable supports inside the body. Every time you stand, walk, lift, or move, this mineral framework quietly helps carry force through the skeleton. Yet minerals alone are not enough to create healthy bone. If the skeleton depended entirely on hardness, bones would become far too brittle for the constant stress of movement and impact. Instead, the body combines mineral strength with organic materials that provide flexibility and resilience. This balance allows bones to bend slightly under pressure rather than cracking instantly like dry stone or glass. In many ways, bone resembles reinforced building material used in modern engineering. Concrete alone can resist tremendous pressure, yet it may crack under certain forms of stress. Engineers therefore strengthen concrete using internal steel supports that add flexibility and resilience to the structure. Bones use a somewhat similar strategy. Minerals provide hardness, while organic material helps the structure absorb force more safely. This balance between hardness and flexibility is one of the defining characteristics of healthy bone tissue. Too much rigidity increases brittleness. Too much softness reduces support and strength. The body therefore maintains a carefully organized relationship between mineral components and flexible organic structures throughout the skeleton. The hidden elegance of this design becomes clearer when considering how much force bones experience during ordinary life. Every step transfers pressure through the legs and spine. Running increases impact across the skeleton. Even simple movements create changing stress patterns, traveling through bones continuously throughout the day. The skeleton must remain strong enough to resist collapse, while flexible enough to absorb movement without constant damage. Imagine a tall tree standing during a powerful storm. If the tree were completely rigid, strong wind might snap the trunk apart under pressure. Instead, the tree bends slightly, allowing movement to distribute force more safely across the structure. Bones behave in a somewhat similar way. Their slight flexibility helps manage pressure and reduce the risk of sudden breakage during normal activity. Scientists studying bone composition often describe the skeleton as an extraordinary example of biological engineering because the materials inside bones solve multiple structural challenges simultaneously. Bones must support weight, allow movement, protect organs, absorb force, and remain light enough for efficient motion. Achieving all these goals requires an incredibly careful balance of material properties, working together throughout the framework. The body maintains this balance continuously through living biological processes happening deep inside bone tissue. Minerals move in and out of the skeleton over time, while cells help preserve the organization of the framework. The composition of bone therefore reflects both strength and adaptability, working together quietly beneath the surface of the body. It is fascinating to realize that every bone inside you contains this hidden combination of hardness and flexibility. The skeleton may feel silent and solid from the outside, yet deep within the framework, countless organized materials work together to create one of the most effective support systems found in nature. Bones are neither simple stone nor soft tissue alone. They exist somewhere between these extremes, combining stability with resilience through careful biological design. As scientists examine bone tissue, the more remarkable its composition appears. What first seems like simple hardness gradually reveals itself as a deeply organized combination of structure, chemistry, flexibility, and strength working together continuously inside the living skeleton. Deep inside every bone exists a hidden internal framework, helping the skeleton remain both strong and resilient at the same time. While minerals such as calcium and phosphorus provide hardness, another important material quietly shapes the deeper structure of bone itself. This material is called collagen, and without it, the skeleton would behave very differently under pressure and movement. Collagen is a protein found throughout many parts of the human body, though inside bones it serves an especially important role. Rather than creating hardness directly, collagen forms a flexible internal framework woven through bone tissue, like an intricate network of supporting fibers. Minerals are then layered throughout this framework, strengthening it while still allowing a small amount of flexibility within the structure. The relationship between collagen and minerals is one of the most remarkable examples of balance found anywhere inside the body. Minerals alone would create excessive brittleness. Flexibility alone would not provide enough support. Together, however, these materials produce a structure capable of carrying weight, resisting force, and tolerating movement at the same time. The skeleton depends completely on this careful balance between firmness and resilience. In many ways, collagen resembles the woven framework hidden inside reinforced building materials. Engineers often strengthen large structures by combining rigid material with flexible support systems underneath. A suspension bridge may contain strong steel beams, while also relying on cables capable of handling movement and shifting force. Modern buildings often combine rigid surfaces with internal flexible supports that help absorb stress during pressure or vibration. Bones use a surprisingly similar strategy through their combination of collagen and minerals. The collagen inside bones forms an organized framework, somewhat like woven fibers running throughout the structure. Minerals strengthen this framework gradually, creating tissue that remains durable while still capable of tolerating pressure and movement. The result is a skeleton able to support the body through years of walking, lifting, turning, bending, and countless other physical actions without constantly cracking under stress. Imagine constructing a tall tower entirely from dry, brittle stone without any flexible support hidden inside. Even if the structure stood upright initially, repeated pressure, vibration, or movement could eventually create dangerous cracks throughout the framework. Now imagine that same tower built with carefully woven internal supports, allowing slight controlled flexibility beneath the surface. The design could better absorb shifting force while remaining stable overall. Bones function in much the same way through the hidden presence of collagen inside their framework. One reason this balance matters so much is because the body constantly experiences changing force throughout ordinary life. Every step transfers pressure upward through the legs and spine. Lifting objects changes stress patterns across the skeleton. Even breathing causes subtle movement within the rib cage as muscles and bones shift together rhythmically throughout the day and night. The skeleton must handle these repeated forces continuously while remaining stable enough to support the body. Collagen quietly helps bones manage these demands by providing resilience within the structure itself. Instead of behaving like rigid stone, healthy bone tissue can absorb small amounts of stress and movement more safely because of this hidden flexible framework beneath the minerals. This combination allows the skeleton to remain both strong and practical for movement at the same time. Scientists often describe bone as a composite material because it combines different substances working together to create properties neither material could achieve alone. Composite materials are common in engineering because combining components often produces better results than relying on a single rigid substance. Bones demonstrate this principle beautifully through their balance of collagen and minerals woven together inside living tissue. Collagen also contributes to the slightly flexible nature of healthy bone tissue. Many people think bones are completely rigid, though in reality, bones can bend very slightly under pressure before returning to their original shape. This tiny flexibility helps protect the skeleton from sudden breakage under ordinary physical stress. Without collagen supporting this resilience, bones would become much more vulnerable to damage from everyday force and impact. The hidden design inside bones reflects a larger pattern found throughout nature, where strength often depends on balance rather than absolute rigidity. Tall trees bend with wind rather than resisting movement completely. Woven fabrics gain durability through flexible fibers working together. Even large animal skeletons rely on structures capable of tolerating force without becoming excessively brittle. Bone composition follows this same principle by combining hardness with controlled flexibility. Researchers studying bone biology continue uncovering how carefully organized these internal frameworks truly are. The arrangement of collagen fibers and minerals inside bone tissue is not random. Instead, the body builds and maintains these structures through highly organized biological processes operating continuously beneath awareness. Tiny cells monitor and preserve the framework while maintaining the balance between support and resilience throughout life. The skeleton may appear simple from the outside, yet deep within every bone lies a carefully organized world of strength, flexibility, and biological precision, quietly supporting you without pause. Beneath the surface of every bone exists an extraordinary arrangement of layers and internal structures, carefully organized to balance strength, stability, and efficiency. From the outside, bones may appear solid all the way through, almost like carved stone or dense blocks of material. Yet the skeleton is designed with far greater sophistication than most people realize. Different regions inside bones serve different purposes, and one of the most important of these regions is the dense outer layer known as compact bone. Compact bone forms the strong outer shell surrounding many bones throughout the body. This layer is dense, hard, and highly organized, creating the sturdy external surface most people imagine when thinking about the skeleton. It provides much of the structural strength, allowing bones to support weight, resist pressure, and maintain stability during movement. Without this protective outer layer, the skeleton would struggle to handle the constant forces placed upon it every day. The remarkable thing about compact bone is how carefully the body balances density with practicality. Bones must remain strong enough to support movement and resist stress, yet they cannot become excessively heavy or rigid. The skeleton therefore uses compact bone strategically as a protective outer structure, while organizing the interior differently to improve efficiency. Nature rarely wastes material unnecessarily, and the design of bone reflects this principle beautifully. In many ways, compact bone resembles the outer walls of a carefully engineered building. A large structure may contain thick, reinforced outer supports designed to handle weather, pressure, and weight while protecting the more open internal spaces within. The external framework carries much of the structural burden while maintaining stability across the entire design. Compact bone performs a similar role inside the skeleton, forming a durable outer surface capable of resisting force and protecting deeper internal structures. This dense outer layer experiences enormous pressure throughout ordinary life. Every step transfers force through compact bone in the legs, hips, and spine. Standing upright places continuous stress across the skeleton as gravity pulls downward against the framework. Lifting objects, turning the body, or even sitting quietly all create shifting patterns of force traveling through bones constantly. Compact bone quietly absorbs and distributes much of this pressure beneath awareness every second of the day. The density of compact bone helps provide structural support across the skeleton. Tiny microscopic arrangements inside this tissue allow force to travel through the framework efficiently while maintaining strength under repeated stress. The body carefully organizes this material so bones remain durable without becoming unnecessarily thick or heavy. This balance between support and efficiency appears repeatedly throughout the design of the human skeleton. Imagine the outer shell of a large ship crossing calm, dark water at night. The exterior structure must remain strong enough to resist pressure from waves, wind, and movement, while still allowing the vessel to travel efficiently across the sea. Too little support would create weakness. Too much unnecessary weight would reduce movement and efficiency. Bones face a similar challenge inside the body. Compact bone provides strength while remaining carefully balanced against the need for mobility and flexibility. Scientists studying bone structure often describe compact bone as highly organized rather than simply solid. Under magnification, this tissue reveals intricate microscopic patterns arranged with remarkable precision. Blood vessels travel through tiny channels within the dense material, while living cells continue maintaining and repairing the framework over time. Even the strongest outer regions of bone remain living tissue, filled with quiet biological activity beneath the surface. One reason compact bone feels so fascinating scientifically is because it demonstrates how nature solves structural challenges through organization rather than simple mass alone. Bones are not strong merely because they are thick or heavy. They are strong because their materials are arranged carefully to manage force efficiently. The skeleton uses intelligent structural design rather than unnecessary weight to maintain support across the body. This design becomes especially important because the human body depends on movement. A skeleton built entirely from extremely dense solid material would become far too heavy and inefficient for practical motion. Walking, running, turning, and lifting would require much greater energy if bones lacked careful internal organization. Compact bone therefore provides targeted strength where the body needs support most, while other regions inside bones remain organized differently to reduce weight. The outer layer of compact bone also helps protect the more delicate internal regions hidden deeper within bones. Much like the walls of a fortress surrounding important structures inside, compact bone forms a durable protective barrier supporting the skeleton from the outside inward. Beneath this dense shell exists a lighter internal structure, very different from the solid exterior most people imagine when thinking about bones. The contrast between the dense outer layer and the lighter internal regions is one of the most elegant aspects of skeletal design. Nature rarely creates structures that are solid all the way through without reason. Instead, efficient frameworks often combine strong outer supports with lighter organized interiors, capable of reducing unnecessary weight while maintaining stability. The skeleton follows this same principle throughout many bones in the body. Hidden beneath the dense outer layer of compact bone exists a very different internal world, one that surprises many people the first time they learn how bones are truly organized. Most people imagine bones as completely solid all the way through, almost like thick pieces of carved stone or heavy blocks of material. Yet inside many bones lies a lighter structure, filled with tiny spaces and delicate supporting networks, carefully arranged to reduce weight while preserving remarkable strength. This inner region is known as spongy bone. The name spongy bone can sound misleading at first because it does not resemble a soft kitchen sponge or weak material. Instead, the term describes the intricate network of internal spaces woven throughout this region of bone tissue. Under magnification, spongy bone reveals an extraordinary architecture, made from thin interconnected supports arranged in highly organized patterns. These tiny structures create a lightweight, internal framework capable of handling force surprisingly efficiently. One reason this design feels so fascinating is because it follows the same engineering principles found throughout both nature and human construction. Many of the strongest structures in the world are not completely solid. Instead, they use carefully arranged internal patterns to maximize strength while reducing unnecessary weight. Bridges, towers, honeycombs, and large frameworks often rely on open internal designs because solid mass alone is rarely the most efficient solution for carrying force. A honeycomb offers one of the clearest natural examples of this principle. At first glance, the structure appears delicate because of its many open spaces, yet honeycombs are remarkably strong relative to their weight. The carefully repeated internal patterns distribute pressure efficiently across the framework while using far less material than a completely solid structure would require. Spongy bone operates through a similar strategy inside the skeleton. The tiny spaces within spongy bone help reduce overall weight, while still preserving strength and stability. This balance is extremely important because the skeleton must remain light enough for efficient movement. A body built entirely from dense solid bone would become unnecessarily heavy and difficult to move. Walking, lifting, and even simple posture would require much greater energy if the skeleton lacked this carefully organized internal design. Nature often solves structural problems through efficiency rather than excess. Birds provide another beautiful example of this idea. Many bird bones contain lighter internal organization, allowing the skeleton to remain strong without becoming too heavy for flight. The human skeleton follows related principles by combining dense outer compact bone with lighter internal spongy regions that preserve support while reducing unnecessary mass. Imagine a large steel bridge crossing a deep valley. From a distance, the bridge may appear massive and solid, yet closer inspection reveals intricate internal supports, open spaces, and carefully arranged beams distributing force across the structure. Engineers rarely build large bridges as completely solid blocks, because doing so would waste enormous amounts of material while creating excessive weight. Instead, they rely on organized frameworks that provide stability through intelligent design rather than sheer mass alone. Spongy bone reflects this same elegant efficiency inside the body. Thin internal supports form networks capable of handling pressure and distributing force throughout the skeleton, while using less material than solid bone alone would require. This hidden architecture allows bones to remain both strong and practical for movement at the same time. The spaces within spongy bone also create room for important biological activity deeper inside the skeleton. These internal regions are not empty or inactive. Instead, they contain living tissue, circulation, and specialized structures supporting other functions within bones themselves. The skeleton therefore uses its internal spaces not only for efficiency, but also as part of a larger living biological system operating quietly throughout life. Scientists studying spongy bone often become fascinated by how carefully these internal patterns align with the forces bones regularly experience. The tiny supporting structures inside spongy bone are not arranged randomly. Instead, they often form along pathways where stress and pressure commonly travel through the skeleton. This organization helps distribute force efficiently while preserving strength in areas experiencing regular movement and weight bearing. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a carefully designed architectural framework hidden inside the body. Dense outer layers provide protection and support, while lighter internal regions reduce weight and distribute force intelligently across the structure. The result is a system capable of balancing strength, mobility, and efficiency simultaneously through extraordinary biological organization. The more closely researchers examine bone structure, the more they realize how little of the skeleton is accidental. Every layer, space, pattern, and support contributes to a larger system refined through millions of years of biological adaptation. Bones are not simple, rigid supports hidden beneath the body. They are living structures designed with remarkable efficiency and precision. The contrast between compact bone and spongy bone reveals one of the most elegant truths about the skeleton itself. Strength does not always come from solid heaviness alone. Often the strongest structures combine support with carefully organized space, balancing stability and efficiency through intelligent design. Your skeleton follows this principle constantly beneath the surface, quietly supporting movement and life through a hidden architecture most people never stop to imagine. Deep inside the skeleton, force does not move randomly through bone tissue. Instead, pressure travels along carefully organized pathways shaped by the design of the bone itself. This hidden organization is one of the most remarkable aspects of the human skeleton because it reveals how intelligently bones manage the constant stress placed upon them throughout daily life. Beneath the surface of every movement exists an intricate internal design, quietly distributing force in ways most people never notice. At first glance, bones may appear simple and solid, yet scientists studying their internal structure discovered that bone tissue contains highly organized patterns arranged to increase strength and reduce the risk of damage. These patterns help direct pressure through the skeleton efficiently, rather than allowing force to concentrate dangerously in one location. The body therefore manages stress through organization and structure, rather than relying only on mass or thickness alone. This principle appears repeatedly throughout both nature and human engineering. Large structures rarely survive by resisting force through brute heaviness alone. Instead, strength often depends on how pressure moves through the framework. Bridges distribute weight through cables and supports. Cathedrals guide pressure downward through arches and columns. Trees spread force through branching fibers and flexible trunks. Bones follow these same structural principles quietly beneath the surface of the body. The internal patterns within bone tissue form along lines where force commonly travels during movement and weight-bearing. Scientists observing these structures under magnification notice that many of the tiny internal supports align naturally with stress pathways created through walking, standing, lifting, and physical activity. This organization allows the skeleton to handle repeated pressure while using material efficiently across the framework. Imagine a river flowing across land over many years. Water gradually shapes channels and pathways, guiding movement more efficiently over time. Force behaves somewhat similarly inside the skeleton. Pressure repeatedly moves through certain regions during ordinary life, and the internal organization of bone reflects these patterns through carefully arranged supportive structures designed to handle stress safely. This hidden architecture helps reduce the risk of damage because pressure becomes distributed across broader regions of the skeleton rather than concentrating in isolated weak points. A completely random structure would manage force far less effectively. Instead, bones use organized patterns to spread stress through the framework in controlled ways, preserving both stability and durability throughout years of movement and activity. One reason this organization matters so much is because the human body constantly experiences changing force. Walking transfers pressure through the legs and spine. Turning the body shifts stress across joints and supporting bones. Carrying heavy objects changes force distribution throughout the skeleton almost instantly. Even standing still creates continuous downward pressure from gravity against the framework. Bones must quietly manage all these shifting demands throughout life. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a carefully engineered tower designed to withstand changing wind and weight without collapsing under stress. Engineers study how pressure moves through structures because poorly distributed force can eventually create cracks or instability over time. Bones solve similar challenges biologically through their organized internal architecture. The skeleton quietly guides stress through pathways capable of handling movement safely and efficiently. Scientists often become fascinated by how elegant these patterns appear under close examination. The internal structure of bone is not chaotic or disorganized. Tiny supports, spaces, and mineral arrangements form networks reflecting the forces bones commonly experience. This organization reveals that the skeleton is not merely a collection of hard materials, but a dynamic living framework shaped around the management of pressure itself. The body also adapts these patterns gradually over time. Bones experiencing regular stress may strengthen certain regions through ongoing maintenance and renewal. This adaptability allows the skeleton to respond to changing physical demands across life. The framework quietly reorganizes itself beneath awareness to preserve support and stability as movement patterns shift over time. Imagine the hidden support beams beneath a large wooden floor, carrying the weight of everyone walking above. If the supports were arranged poorly, pressure could build dangerously in weak areas until damage eventually appeared. Yet when the structure is organized carefully, weight spreads evenly across the framework and the floor remains stable for many years. Bones operate through similar principles deep inside the body, quietly managing force through careful internal organization. This hidden engineering becomes even more impressive when considering how light the skeleton remains relative to its strength. The body cannot afford to carry excessive unnecessary weight. Bones therefore rely on organized structure and intelligent distribution of material rather than solid density alone. The result is a framework capable of supporting movement and resisting damage while remaining efficient enough for daily life. The skeleton reveals again and again that biological systems often solve problems through elegant organization rather than simple excess. Tiny patterns inside bone tissue quietly manage pressure across the body through carefully arranged pathways, refined through millions of years of adaptation. Every step you take sends force through these hidden structures beneath awareness. The more closely scientists study bone organization, the clearer it becomes that the skeleton behaves less like a collection of rigid objects and more like a living engineered system constantly balancing strength, movement, efficiency, and protection together. Deep within every bone, invisible pathways quietly guide pressure through the framework with remarkable precision throughout your life. One of the most extraordinary qualities of the human skeleton is that bones do not simply remain fixed and unchanging throughout life. Instead, they respond quietly to the forces placed upon them, adjusting gradually over time according to how the body moves, works, rests, and carries weight through the world. The skeleton is not passive support material hidden beneath the body. It is a living, adaptive framework, constantly reacting to pressure and activity beneath awareness. Every movement you make sends force through your bones. Walking transfers repeated pressure through the legs, hips, and spine. Lifting objects changes stress patterns across the arms and shoulders. Even standing still places continuous weight against the skeleton as gravity pulls downward through the body. Bones experience these forces constantly throughout daily life, and remarkably, they respond to them. Scientists studying bone biology discovered that bones can gradually adapt to use over time. Regions experiencing regular pressure and physical demand may strengthen themselves through ongoing maintenance and rebuilding processes happening deep within the skeleton. The body quietly adjusts the framework according to the conditions it experiences most often. This ability to respond to activity is one of the reasons bones are considered dynamic living tissues rather than simple rigid supports. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a path through a quiet forest, gradually shaped by repeated movement. A narrow trail walked only occasionally may remain faint and soft, while heavily traveled paths become firmer and more established over time. Bones respond somewhat similarly to repeated physical demand. Areas carrying regular stress may gradually strengthen as the body adapts the structure to handle pressure more efficiently. This process happens slowly and continuously beneath awareness. Tiny cells inside bones monitor stress and strain while helping guide maintenance and rebuilding throughout the framework. The skeleton therefore remains in constant communication with the physical demands placed upon it. Movement influences structure, activity influences strength. The body quietly reshapes itself according to use over long periods of time. One reason this adaptability matters so much is because human life rarely remains physically identical from year to year. Children grow and develop. Adults change routines, occupations, and activity levels. The body must therefore remain flexible enough to respond to changing demands throughout life. Bones accomplish this through gradual adjustment rather than fixed permanent structure. Imagine an old stone staircase inside a historic building used daily for hundreds of years. The steps may slowly change shape over time, where countless feet repeatedly pass across the same surfaces. Pressure leaves subtle traces on the structure itself. The skeleton experiences similar patterns of repeated force throughout life. Though unlike stone, bones remain living tissue capable of responding biologically to those demands. This ability to adapt helps the skeleton maintain strength where the body needs support most. Physical activity encourages the framework to preserve and reinforce regions experiencing regular pressure. The body therefore uses movement itself as part of the ongoing conversation shaping bone structure over time. Every walk, stretch, climb, and lift contributes quietly to the forces guiding skeletal maintenance beneath awareness. Scientists often compare this adaptability to engineering systems capable of adjusting to changing conditions rather than remaining completely rigid. A modern suspension bridge may flex slightly under wind and shifting weight while distributing stress safely across the structure. Bones operate with similar intelligence. They respond to pressure dynamically, rather than behaving like lifeless material incapable of adjustment. This hidden responsiveness also explains why long periods of inactivity may affect bone strength over time. The skeleton depends partly on physical demand to maintain certain patterns of support and organization. Bones evolved within bodies built for movement, pressure, balance, and activity. The framework therefore responds not only to nutrition and biology, but also to the physical forces passing through it regularly. Nature often strengthens structures according to use. Trees growing in windy environments may develop stronger trunks and root systems over time because of repeated stress from moving air. Muscles respond to activity by becoming stronger and more capable through repeated use. Bones participate in this same broader principle of biological adaptation, where living systems respond gradually to the conditions surrounding them. The skeleton therefore behaves less like static architecture and more like a living, responsive framework, constantly adjusting itself beneath the surface of the body. Every movement contributes quietly to the forces shaping bone maintenance over time. The body listens continuously to pressure and demand while carrying out microscopic adjustments hidden deep within the skeleton. As scientists study bone adaptation, the more extraordinary the skeleton appears as a living system. Bones are not frozen structures resisting change. They are responsive tissues quietly shaped by the physical experiences of life itself. Movement influences the skeleton. Pressure guides organization. Activity helps maintain strength across the internal framework, supporting your body every moment of every day. Beneath the calm stillness of the body exists a living architecture constantly listening and responding to the forces of the world around it. The skeleton quietly adapts itself through time, carrying the history of movement and pressure deep within its hidden structure. Beyond supporting movement and carrying weight, the skeleton performs another role just as important to human survival. Bones protect some of the most delicate and essential systems inside the body through carefully shaped structures, acting almost like natural shields surrounding vulnerable organs. Hidden beneath the surface of the body exists an extraordinary architecture of protection, quietly guarding the brain, heart, lungs, and other sensitive tissues throughout life. One of the clearest examples of this protection is the skull. The human brain is among the most delicate and complicated structures found anywhere in nature. Inside it, billions of neurons exchange electrical signals continuously while supporting memory, awareness, movement, sensation, thought, and emotion. Despite its extraordinary capabilities, brain tissue itself remains soft and vulnerable. The body therefore surrounds it with a strong protective structure formed from bone. The skull acts almost like a carefully engineered protective chamber built around the brain. Curved layers of bone create a durable outer shell, capable of helping absorb and distribute force while shielding the delicate nervous tissue inside. This structure balances strength with efficiency, forming a protective barrier without becoming unnecessarily heavy. The design reflects the importance of preserving the organ hidden within. Imagine a priceless instrument stored inside a carefully built case designed to protect it from damage during movement and travel. The case itself may appear simple from the outside, yet every part of its structure exists to shield something fragile and valuable inside. The skull functions in much the same way. Beneath its curved protective framework rests one of the most complex biological systems ever known. The ribcage provides another remarkable example of skeletal protection. Inside the chest lie the heart and lungs, organs essential for circulation and breathing. Every moment of life depends on their quiet, continuous activity. The lungs draw air into the body, while the heart pushes blood through an immense network of vessels, reaching nearly every tissue. Because these organs are so vital, the skeleton surrounds them with a flexible protective structure formed from ribs and supporting bones. The rib cage behaves almost like a living protective enclosure surrounding the chest. Curved ribs form barriers around the lungs and heart, while still allowing movement during breathing. This balance between protection and flexibility is one of the most elegant features of the skeleton. The chest must remain strong enough to shield delicate organs, while also expanding and contracting rhythmically as the lungs fill with air. Every breath you take depends partly on this hidden skeletal design. The ribs move subtly with each breath, while maintaining their protective arrangement around the organs inside the chest. Even during sleep, the rib cage continues its quiet movement hour after hour, protecting the lungs and heart, while allowing the body to breathe calmly through the night. Scientists often admire the efficiency of these protective structures because they combine strength, flexibility, and organization so effectively. Nature rarely creates barriers that are completely rigid without reason. Instead, the skeleton forms curved supportive frameworks capable of managing pressure while still allowing movement and biological function. The skull protects the brain, the rib cage protects the heart and lungs. Each structure reflects the specific needs of the organs it surrounds. In many ways, these protective systems resemble the architecture of fortified buildings designed to protect important spaces inside. Thick walls may surround delicate rooms, while carefully arranged supports preserve stability across the structure. Yet unlike static buildings, the skeleton must protect living organs inside a constantly moving body. Walking, turning, lifting, breathing and posture all create shifting force across the framework continuously. The body therefore relies on protective structures capable of adapting to movement while preserving safety at the same time. Bones quietly absorb and distribute force, so vulnerable organs remain shielded beneath the surface during ordinary life. Most people never consciously notice this hidden protection because the skeleton performs its role with such reliability and silence. The idea that bones provide protection reveals another layer of complexity within the skeleton itself. Earlier blocks explored bones as support systems and living tissues constantly rebuilding themselves. Yet the skeleton also acts as a quiet guardian beneath the body, surrounding delicate systems with carefully organized barriers shaped through millions of years of biological refinement. Even now, while resting peacefully, your skeleton continues protecting you without conscious effort. The curved structure of your skull surrounds the brain, while the rib cage rises and falls gently around the lungs and heart with every calm breath. Hidden beneath stillness exists an intricate living architecture built not only for movement and stability, but also for safety and survival. The protective role of the skeleton extends far beyond simple hardness or strength alone. Bones are shaped and arranged in ways that quietly shield sensitive systems throughout the body while still allowing movement, balance, and flexibility to continue naturally. This balance between protection and function appears repeatedly across the entire skeleton, revealing how deeply organized the architecture of the body truly is. Nature rarely builds structures without purpose. Every curve, angle, opening, and support inside the skeleton reflects the needs of the living systems hidden within and around it. The body depends on delicate organs, nerves, blood vessels, and tissues functioning safely inside constantly moving surroundings. Bones therefore act not only as supports, but also as carefully shaped barriers designed to reduce risk and preserve stability beneath the surface of daily life. The idea that safety is built directly into the structure of the body can feel strangely calming when imagined closely. Beneath your skin exists a quiet, protective framework surrounding vulnerable systems continuously without requiring conscious effort. The skeleton carries out this role automatically throughout life. While the mind focuses on work, conversation, movement, or rest, bones quietly maintain protective barriers around many of the body's most sensitive regions. The skull remains one of the clearest examples of this principle because its shape reflects the exact needs of the organ it protects. The brain requires safety from physical force, while also needing space for nerves, blood vessels, and sensory connections to pass through the structure. The skull therefore combines strength with carefully arranged openings and curves, supporting both protection and biological function simultaneously. The rib cage follows similar principles. The lungs and heart require shielding from external force, yet they also depend on constant movement during breathing and circulation. The ribs therefore form a protective enclosure that remains flexible enough to rise and fall rhythmically throughout every breath. Protection and motion work together inside the same design rather than opposing one another. Scientists often describe this relationship by saying that form reflects function. In other words, the shape and organization of a structure reveal the purpose it serves. Bones are not shaped randomly. Their forms reflect the specific physical demands placed upon them throughout life. Protective structures become curved, layered, or reinforced where delicate systems require shielding. Movement systems remain arranged around joints and muscle attachments. Every region of the skeleton reflects the role it performs inside the body. In many ways, the skeleton resembles a carefully planned city where roads, bridges, barriers, and buildings are arranged according to purpose rather than chance. Important systems receive additional support and protection, while movement pathways remain organized for efficiency. The body follows similar principles through the arrangement of bones around organs, muscles, nerves, and connective tissues. Imagine an ancient fortress built carefully into the landscape with thick walls surrounding important chambers inside. From the outside, the structure may appear calm and silent, yet every wall, archway, and support exists for a reason, connected to protection and survival. The skeleton functions with similar quiet intention beneath the body. Every protective structure reflects countless generations of biological refinement shaped around preserving life. The body relies deeply on these hidden barriers because many internal systems remain soft and delicate despite their importance. The brain contains fragile nervous tissue. The lungs depend on thin membranes exchanging oxygen constantly. The heart moves blood continuously through soft muscular chambers. Without protective skeletal structures surrounding them, these organs would remain far more vulnerable to ordinary physical force and movement. One reason skeletal protection feels so fascinating scientifically is because it demonstrates how efficiently nature solves multiple problems at once. Bones do not merely create rigid armor around the body. Instead, they combine support, movement, flexibility, and protection together inside one coordinated framework. The skull protects while remaining light enough for balance. The rib cage shields organs while still allowing breathing. Form and function remain deeply connected throughout the skeleton. This relationship between design and purpose appears repeatedly across living systems in nature. Bird wings reflect the needs of flight. Tree roots spread according to stability and water access. Honeycombs organize themselves for strength and efficiency. Bones follow the same principle. Their structure reflects the physical challenges they evolved to handle inside the body. The more closely scientists study skeletal architecture, the more extraordinary its organization appears. Beneath the appearance of simple hardness lies a carefully shaped system balancing countless demands simultaneously. Protection must exist without sacrificing movement. Strength must remain efficient rather than excessively heavy. Stability must coexist with flexibility throughout the framework. The skeleton therefore becomes more than a framework, holding the body upright. It is also a carefully shaped system of barriers, supports, and protective structures woven directly into the body itself. Safety is not added afterward. It is built directly into the architecture of the skeleton from the very beginning. If the skeleton were made only from rigid, solid structures locked completely together, movement would become nearly impossible. The body might remain strong and stable, yet it would move more like a statue than a living organism. One of the great achievements of skeletal design is that bones are not isolated pieces of hard material. Instead, they connect through specialized structures called joints, allowing the framework of the body to bend, rotate, stretch, and move with remarkable flexibility while still maintaining stability. Joints are the places where bones meet one another. These connections transform the skeleton from a rigid support system into a dynamic moving framework capable of enormous variety and motion. Every step, turn, reach, and stretch depends on joints guiding movement between bones in carefully controlled ways. Without them, the skeleton could support weight, but it could never create the fluid movement associated with ordinary human life. The remarkable thing about joints is how differently they are designed, depending on the movement required in each region of the body. Some joints allow broad sweeping motion, while others remain more limited and stable. Certain joints support rotation, while others primarily allow bending. The skeleton therefore balances flexibility and control through a wide range of specialized connections, carefully adapted for different purposes throughout the body. Imagine the moving sections of a large mechanical bridge designed to rise and lower above water. The bridge cannot function through rigid solid construction alone. Instead, carefully engineered hinges and connection points allow sections to move smoothly while preserving stability across the larger structure. Joints perform a similar role inside the skeleton. They create controlled movement between bones while keeping the framework organized and secure. The shoulder joint provides one of the widest ranges of motion in the body. It allows the arm to lift, rotate, and move through broad circular patterns, giving human beings extraordinary flexibility in reaching and handling objects. The elbow works differently, guiding bending movement more directly while limiting unnecessary motion. The spine contains many smaller joints stacked together, creating flexibility throughout the back while still supporting posture and balance. Each joint reflects the specific demands placed upon that region of the body. Areas requiring broad mobility are shaped differently from regions needing greater stability and support. This principle again reveals how deeply form reflects function throughout the skeleton. Bones and joints are not arranged randomly. Their organization reflects the physical movements the body must perform every day. Rotation is one of the most fascinating motions joints allow. Turning your head from side to side, rotating your arm, or twisting the body at the waist all depend on specialized joint structures, guiding movement smoothly between bones. Without these carefully organized connections, the body would lose much of its ability to interact efficiently with the surrounding world. Bending movement is equally important throughout the skeleton. Knees bend during walking, elbows fold while lifting objects, fingers curl around tools and surfaces. Even the rib cage moves subtly during breathing through tiny coordinated motions between bones and joints. Human movement depends on countless forms of controlled flexibility, operating together continuously beneath awareness. In many ways, joints resemble the carefully designed hinges within large architectural structures. A heavy door may appear simple while opening quietly on its hinges, yet the movement depends completely on hidden connection points, guiding motion safely and efficiently. Joints perform this same quiet service throughout the skeleton, throughout life. The body relies deeply on this balance between rigidity and flexibility. Bones alone provide stability and support, yet joints allow that support system to move in practical and controlled ways. The skeleton therefore becomes something far more sophisticated than simple internal scaffolding. It transforms into a coordinated moving framework capable of adapting fluidly to changing movement and posture throughout daily life. One reason this coordination feels so extraordinary is because most people never consciously notice it happening. A person may turn toward a sound, climb stairs, stretch an arm outward, or simply sit down in a chair without thinking about the enormous skeletal coordination occurring beneath awareness. Joints guide movement automatically through countless tiny adjustments happening every second throughout the body. Scientists studying movement often describe the skeleton as a system of levers and connections working together with muscles to create motion efficiently. Bones provide structure while joints guide movement and muscles supply force. None of these systems work fully alone. Together they create the flowing physical movement associated with ordinary human life. Imagine a carefully constructed marionette controlled through hidden strings and joints. Without flexible connections, the figure could not bend or move naturally. Yet unlike mechanical systems, the human skeleton operates through living tissue capable of adapting, repairing itself, and responding continuously to physical demand. The complexity hidden beneath ordinary movement is astonishing when considered closely. As scientists study joints and skeletal motion, the more remarkable the body appears as an example of biological engineering. Every connection point balances movement against stability in highly organized ways. Too much looseness would create instability. Too much rigidity would reduce motion. The skeleton therefore maintains an intricate balance, allowing the body to remain both stable and flexible at the same time. Human movement appears effortless on the surface, yet beneath every step lies an astonishing level of coordination, quietly unfolding between bones, joints, muscles, balance systems, and the nervous system itself. Walking across a room may feel simple and automatic, though in reality, the body continuously manages shifting weight, changing pressure, posture, stability, and motion all at once. The skeleton plays a central role in this hidden coordination, guiding movement while preserving balance through countless tiny adjustments happening beneath awareness every second. One of the most remarkable things about movement is that the body rarely loses stability while changing position constantly. Human beings can walk across uneven ground, climb stairs, turn suddenly, or carry heavy objects while remaining balanced and upright through motions that would challenge even sophisticated machines. The skeleton helps make this possible by forming an organized framework where bones and joints work together continuously to guide controlled movement. Movement depends not only on flexibility, but also on stability during motion. Every step requires the body to shift weight from one side to the other without collapsing or losing balance. Bones carry force, while joints guide movement, and muscles provide controlled tension throughout the framework. These systems operate together so smoothly that most people never consciously notice the complexity unfolding beneath ordinary walking. Imagine a tall sailing ship moving calmly across dark ocean water during the night. Beneath the visible movement above the waves, countless adjustments happen continuously throughout the vessel. Ropes tighten and loosen. The hull shifts against pressure from the sea. Weight redistributes constantly to preserve balance and direction. The body behaves in a somewhat similar way during movement. Tiny adjustments occur continuously through the skeleton and muscles to maintain stability while the body changes position. Walking itself is one of the clearest examples of this hidden coordination. Each step transfers force through the feet, into the legs, hips, spine, and upper body. Weight shifts carefully across joints, while muscles stabilize posture and bones distribute pressure throughout the skeleton. The body manages these changing forces almost instantly, without requiring conscious calculation. The knee joints bend and straighten rhythmically, while the hips rotate subtly to guide balance and direction. The spine adjusts constantly to maintain posture as the body moves through space. Even the arms swing naturally during walking to help stabilize movement across the framework. Countless small motions combine together into the smooth flowing movement people experience simply as walking. Scientists studying human motion often describe the body as an integrated system because no single structure works entirely alone. Bones, joints, muscles, tendons, nerves, and balance systems constantly communicate and adjust together throughout movement. The skeleton provides the stable framework, while other systems guide force and coordination across that structure continuously. This coordination becomes even more impressive when considering how adaptable movement remains under changing conditions. A person may walk quickly across flat ground, slow carefully on uneven surfaces, climb steep stairs, or carry shifting weight while maintaining balance through all these different situations. The body constantly reorganizes force and posture beneath awareness to preserve stability. In many ways, the skeleton resembles the hidden structural frame inside a suspension bridge, moving slightly under changing wind and weight, while still remaining stable overall. Large structures often require a controlled degree of movement in order to handle force safely. Completely rigid systems may become brittle under pressure. The human skeleton solves this challenge by balancing flexibility and stability together throughout movement. Joints play an especially important role in this process because they allow motion while preserving organization across the framework. Every joint guides movement through specific pathways, limiting instability while still allowing flexibility. The body therefore avoids becoming either too rigid or too loose during motion. Stability is maintained even as the skeleton bends, rotates, and shifts continuously throughout daily life. Even standing still involves continuous skeletal coordination. Tiny muscles adjust posture constantly, while bones carry changing pressure through the framework. The body quietly responds to gravity every moment, whether walking, sitting, or resting. Human posture is never completely frozen or motionless. Subtle balancing corrections continue beneath awareness. Scientists sometimes compare human movement to a carefully coordinated orchestra because so many systems must operate together smoothly at the same time. Bones provide structure, joints guide motion, muscles create force, balance systems monitor orientation, nerves coordinate timing and adjustment. The body combines all these systems into fluid movement so naturally that people rarely stop to consider the extraordinary biological engineering involved. As researchers study movement, the more astonishing ordinary walking and balance appear. Machines capable of navigating complex environments smoothly remain difficult to design, even with advanced modern technology. Yet the human body performs these tasks effortlessly through hidden coordination, unfolding every second beneath awareness. Deep inside many bones exists a hidden world most people never imagine while thinking about the skeleton. Beneath the dense outer layers and supportive internal structures lies a softer living region, filled with biological activity, quietly supporting life every moment of every day. This region is known as bone marrow, and it reveals once again that bones are far more than simple supports hidden beneath the body. When people imagine bones, they often picture hard, solid structures extending all the way through from the surface to the center. Yet many bones contain internal spaces, carefully organized around living tissue, hidden deep within the framework. These spaces are not empty gaps or unused regions. They form protected environments where important biological processes continue quietly throughout life. Bone marrow is found inside many bones throughout the body. It occupies internal spaces surrounded by the supportive framework of bone tissue itself. Hidden safely within these protected regions, marrow carries out essential functions connected to the larger biology of the body. One of its most important roles involves the production of blood cells, a process continuing constantly throughout life. The idea that bones help produce blood cells can feel surprising, because most people think of the skeleton mainly in terms of movement and support. Yet inside the hidden spaces of bone marrow, the body quietly creates many of the cells circulating through the bloodstream every day. Deep within the framework of the skeleton exists a living biological environment, supporting circulation and internal balance continuously beneath the surface. Imagine a large city quietly operating through the night while most of its citizens sleep. Deep inside hidden facilities, workers continue producing energy, managing supplies, maintaining infrastructure, and supporting the systems, allowing the city to function by morning. Bone marrow behaves in a somewhat similar way inside the skeleton. Hidden beneath hard protective layers, living biological activity continues constantly without drawing attention to itself. The protective design of bones becomes especially important when considering the delicate processes unfolding within marrow. Blood cell production requires stable, protected environments deep inside the body. The skeleton therefore serves not only as an external support system, but also as a shield surrounding these sensitive internal biological regions. Bones protect the living tissues hidden inside them, while still remaining light and strong enough for movement. Scientists studying bone marrow often describe it as one of the busiest hidden environments inside the human body. Blood cells are continuously produced through highly organized biological activity unfolding within these internal spaces. This process occurs constantly throughout life because the body depends on fresh blood cells circulating through the bloodstream to support oxygen transport, immunity, and countless other physiological functions. In many ways, bones resemble carefully designed buildings containing important activity hidden within strong outer walls. From the outside, the structure may appear calm and still, yet inside, workers continue carrying out essential tasks, supporting the larger system around them. Bone marrow exists within similar protected internal spaces, hidden deep inside the skeleton. The internal organization of bones therefore serves multiple purposes simultaneously. Compact bone provides strength and protection. Spongy bone reduces weight while distributing force. Internal spaces create room for living marrow tissue, supporting blood cell production and other biological functions. The skeleton reveals itself again and again as far more sophisticated than simple rigid support material. This hidden complexity matters because it transforms the way people think about their own bodies. The skeleton is not merely a framework carrying muscles and organs. It is an active, living environment, participating directly in larger biological systems throughout the body. Bones support movement, protection, balance, mineral storage, and blood cell production all at once through carefully organized internal design. Scientists continue uncovering new details about how closely connected the skeleton remains to the rest of human biology. Bones communicate with circulation, movement, pressure, and internal regulation systems continuously. The skeleton behaves less like isolated architecture and more like an integrated living participant in the body itself. The spaces inside bones therefore become just as important as the dense supportive structures surrounding them. Nature often uses internal space intelligently rather than filling every structure with unnecessary solid material. Bridges, honeycombs, tree trunks, and large architectural frameworks frequently contain hollow or open regions serving important purposes. Bones follow this same principle by combining support with protected internal environments where living biological activity continues quietly beneath awareness. The deeper scientists study the skeleton, the more difficult it becomes to think of bones as passive structures. What once appeared to be simple hard material now reveals itself as an active living environment, filled with movement, maintenance, circulation, communication, and continuous biological activity hidden beneath the surface of the body. Bones are not silent, empty supports, frozen in place through time. They are living tissues containing functional spaces where important processes continue throughout life. These internal spaces inside bones are carefully organized rather than random or accidental. Every region within the skeleton serves a purpose connected to strength, movement, protection, circulation, or biological support. The spaces surrounding bone marrow allow living tissues to function safely deep inside the framework while reducing unnecessary weight across the skeleton itself. This balance between structure and internal function appears repeatedly throughout the architecture of bone. This hidden organization matters because it changes the entire way people imagine the skeleton. Most people picture bones almost like stone pillars hidden beneath the skin. Yet bones behave more like living ecosystems quietly operating within the body. Deep inside the framework, cells communicate continuously, while materials move through circulation pathways and biological maintenance unfolds beneath awareness, hour after hour. Even during complete rest, the skeleton remains active. Tiny cells continue rebuilding microscopic regions of bone tissue. Blood vessels carry nutrients through internal channels. Bone marrow supports the production of blood cells inside protected spaces. Minerals move carefully in and out of the framework according to the needs of the body. The skeleton never becomes truly inactive because living biology continues operating constantly beneath the appearance of stillness. Imagine an enormous underground railway network running quietly beneath a sleeping city late at night. From the surface, everything may appear calm and motionless, yet hidden below, countless systems continue functioning continuously. Maintenance crews work through tunnels, electricity flows through cables, trains move silently through stations. The hidden structure remains active even while the city above rests. Bones behave in a somewhat similar way inside the body. Beneath calm stillness exists continuous organized activity, unfolding invisibly through the skeleton. Scientists often describe bones as active tissues because they participate directly in the larger biology of the body rather than merely supporting it mechanically. Bones interact with circulation, movement, minerals, pressure, posture, and internal regulation continuously. The skeleton therefore functions more like a living organ system than a collection of rigid supports hidden beneath muscles and skin. The functional spaces inside bones help make this possible. These regions allow living tissue, blood vessels, marrow, and biological activity to exist safely within the framework itself. Nature often uses internal space intelligently rather than creating completely solid structures. Tree trunks contain inner layers supporting circulation. Honeycombs balance open spaces with structural strength. Large bridges use carefully organized frameworks rather than solid blocks of material. Bones follow these same principles while supporting both movement and internal biological activity at once. This hidden complexity reveals how deeply organized the human body truly is. The skeleton is not separate from the rest of the body's biology. It remains connected continuously to circulation, movement, pressure, and internal balance. Each region of bone participates in larger systems, extending throughout the body itself. One reason the skeleton appears so calm and stable from the outside is because these processes happen gradually and quietly beneath awareness. People rarely feel their bones working directly. Yet beneath the surface, microscopic activity continues constantly. Tiny repairs occur. Materials shift through the framework. Internal spaces support living tissue hidden safely within bone itself. The skeleton remains biologically active even during sleep and stillness. Scientists studying bone biology continue discovering how dynamic these systems truly are. The body constantly monitors and maintains the skeleton through communication between cells, circulation pathways, and chemical signals moving throughout bone tissue. Bones therefore respond continuously to changing conditions inside and outside the body, rather than remaining static or unchanging over time. Imagine a vast greenhouse filled with quiet, hidden activity beneath glass walls during the night. Water moves through pipes. Temperature shifts gently through the structure. Plants continue slow growth beneath darkness. Invisible systems maintain balance continuously, while everything above appears peaceful and still. Bones contain similar hidden activity inside their internal spaces, supporting life through countless quiet biological processes unfolding beneath awareness. The skeleton therefore becomes more than a framework supporting the body from underneath. It transforms into a living internal environment, participating directly in the maintenance and survival of the organism itself. Every bone contains hidden layers of structure and activity woven together with remarkable precision. As scientists examine bones, the more extraordinary their hidden internal life appears. What first seems like simple, rigid support gradually reveals itself as a carefully organized biological environment filled with structure, circulation, communication, and continuous maintenance, unfolding silently throughout life. Hidden beneath the visible structure of the skeleton exists another remarkable role most people rarely consider. Bones do not simply support movement, protect organs, and house living tissue. They also serve as vast storage systems, quietly holding important minerals the body may need later. Deep inside the framework of the skeleton exists a carefully managed reserve, helping maintain internal balance throughout life. The idea that bones function partly as storage structures can feel surprising because people often think of the skeleton only in physical terms. Bones seem connected mainly to posture, movement, and support. Yet the skeleton also participates continuously in the chemistry of the body itself. Minerals move in and out of bone tissue through carefully regulated biological processes happening silently beneath awareness every day. Calcium is one of the most important minerals stored within bones. Earlier blocks explored how calcium contributes to the hardness and strength of bone tissue itself. Yet calcium also plays vital roles throughout the body beyond skeletal support. Muscles depend on calcium for contraction. Nerves rely on it while transmitting signals. Many internal systems require carefully balanced calcium levels in order to function properly. The body therefore maintains close control over how much calcium circulates through the bloodstream at any given moment. Bones act almost like enormous hidden reservoirs, storing much of the body's calcium safely within the skeleton. When levels in the bloodstream change, the body can move calcium in or out of bones as needed to help maintain balance. The skeleton therefore participates continuously in regulating internal conditions far beyond movement and posture alone. Imagine a large mountain lake quietly supplying water to surrounding towns through carefully controlled systems beneath the surface. During times of greater demand, more water may flow outward through hidden channels, supporting the needs of the larger region. During calmer periods, the reservoir remains full and stable again. Bones behave in a somewhat similar way with minerals. The skeleton stores important materials while quietly helping regulate their availability throughout the body. This hidden reserve system reveals once again how deeply connected bones remain to overall human biology. The skeleton is not isolated architecture existing separately from circulation and internal regulation. Instead, bones participate continuously in larger systems involving minerals, chemistry, movement, and biological balance. The framework beneath the body remains active and responsive every hour of life. Scientists studying bone biology often describe this relationship as dynamic because the skeleton constantly exchanges materials with the rest of the body rather than remaining chemically fixed. Minerals move through circulation pathways, while living cells inside bones help regulate maintenance and storage. The body therefore treats the skeleton not only as structure, but also as an active reserve supporting larger physiological needs. Nature frequently uses storage systems as part of long-term survival and stability. Trees store energy deep within roots and trunks. Animals store nutrients for periods of scarcity. Reservoirs hold water for future need. The skeleton follows similar principles by storing minerals safely within the framework where they remain protected yet available when needed by the body. This design is especially efficient because bones already form large, durable structures extending throughout the body. The skeleton therefore provides both physical support and protected storage simultaneously. Nature rarely wastes structure unnecessarily. Bones combine movement, protection, biological activity, and mineral storage together within one integrated system, operating quietly beneath awareness. The relationship between bone and mineral balance also highlights how living and responsive the skeleton truly is. Earlier generations often imagined bones as dry, permanent objects incapable of change. Modern science instead reveals bones as active tissues constantly interacting with circulation and internal chemistry. The skeleton participates continuously in maintaining equilibrium throughout the body. In many ways, bones resemble carefully managed vaults hidden beneath a vast city. Valuable materials remain stored safely inside reinforced structures, while invisible systems monitor supply and demand continuously. The skeleton performs similar work beneath the body, quietly holding reserves while helping maintain stable conditions across the larger biological system. This hidden complexity matters because it transforms the way people understand their own bodies. The skeleton is not passive support material carrying the body mechanically through space. It is a living, responsive participant in balance, regulation, movement, protection, and survival simultaneously. Every bone contributes to this broader hidden network operating beneath ordinary awareness. Scientists continue uncovering how closely bone biology connects to other systems throughout the body. Hormones influence mineral regulation inside bones. Physical activity affects skeletal maintenance and storage patterns. Circulation interacts continuously with bone tissue and marrow. The skeleton therefore behaves less like isolated architecture and more like an integrated living system woven deeply into the biology of the body itself. As scientists study the skeleton, the more they realize bones participate in far more than movement and support alone. Hidden beneath the visible framework of the body exists a constantly active system interacting with circulation, chemistry, pressure, minerals, and biological regulation throughout life. The skeleton is not isolated architecture, quietly holding the body upright from beneath. It is deeply connected to the larger balance of the body itself through continuous invisible interaction. Most people think about bones mainly during physical movement. Walking, lifting, posture, and protection feel naturally connected to the skeleton because these functions are easy to observe from the outside. Yet beneath the surface, bones participate in a much larger internal conversation unfolding constantly throughout the body. Minerals move through circulation. Cells communicate through chemical signals. Tissues respond to pressure and demand. The skeleton remains woven directly into these larger systems every hour of life. One of the most fascinating aspects of this hidden chemistry is how carefully balanced it must remain. The human body depends on stable internal conditions in order to function properly. Muscles, nerves, circulation, and countless microscopic biological processes all rely on carefully regulated levels of minerals and chemical activity. Bones help support this stability through their role in storage, regulation, and continuous exchange with the bloodstream. Imagine a vast network of rivers, reservoirs, and hidden underground channels quietly distributing water across an enormous landscape. At first glance, the land above may appear calm and still, yet beneath the surface, countless systems continue regulating flow and balance continuously. The skeleton behaves in a somewhat similar way inside the body. Hidden beneath the surface, bones participate quietly in ongoing exchanges, helping preserve internal equilibrium. This idea changes the way the skeleton itself is understood scientifically. Earlier generations often viewed bones as rigid supports, separate from the active biology of the body. Modern research instead reveals bones as living tissues deeply involved in communication and regulation. The skeleton constantly interacts with circulation and internal chemistry through processes unfolding invisibly beneath awareness. Scientists studying these relationships often describe the body as an integrated system because no major structure operates entirely alone. Bones interact with muscles through movement. They interact with circulation through marrow and blood supply. They interact with chemistry through mineral regulation. They respond to physical pressure while also participating in biological maintenance. The skeleton therefore functions less like isolated scaffolding and more like a living participant in the body's larger internal environment. Nature repeatedly relies on systems of balance and exchange to preserve stability over time. Forests regulate moisture and nutrients through networks hidden beneath the soil. Oceans distribute heat and minerals through circulating currents. Living organisms survive through constant communication between specialized systems working together beneath the surface. Bones participate in this same broader principle of interconnected regulation inside the human body. One reason this hidden activity feels so fascinating is because it reveals how much of human life depends on processes entirely invisible during ordinary experience. People may think of themselves mainly through thoughts, movement, and outward awareness, yet beneath that experience, enormous systems continue operating silently without pause. The skeleton remains deeply involved in many of these systems, despite appearing calm and motionless from the outside. In many ways, bones resemble the hidden infrastructure beneath a great city. Roads, pipes, electrical networks, and communication systems may remain unseen beneath streets and buildings, yet they quietly support the life of the city continuously. The skeleton performs similar hidden work inside the body. Beneath muscles and skin exists a living framework, carrying not only physical force, but also participating in regulation and internal balance throughout the organism. Scientists continue uncovering new details about how bones communicate with other tissues and systems inside the body. Hormones influence skeletal activity. Physical stress affects bone maintenance. Circulation interacts continuously with marrow and living bone tissue. The skeleton therefore behaves as part of an ongoing biological network rather than a passive mechanical structure. This broader understanding of bones transforms the skeleton from something simple into something profoundly dynamic. Earlier blocks explored support, movement, protection, and internal spaces. Now the skeleton reveals another layer of complexity entirely. Bones help preserve balance within the body itself through continuous interaction with chemistry, circulation, and regulation beneath awareness. The calm appearance of bones hides an extraordinary amount of invisible activity unfolding continuously beneath the surface of life. What once seemed like silent, rigid material now reveals itself as a living participant in the body's larger systems of balance and survival. Bones carry weight and guide movement, yet they also help maintain the hidden chemistry, allowing the body itself to continue functioning smoothly through every hour of the day and night. The deeper this journey into the hidden world of bones has traveled, the clearer one truth becomes. The skeleton is far more than a collection of hard supports hidden beneath the body. It is an extraordinary example of living engineering where structure, movement, protection, chemistry, flexibility, and biological activity all work together simultaneously through carefully organized design. Every layer of bone tissue and every hidden internal space contributes to a larger system quietly supporting life every moment of every day. At first glance, bones may appear simple because the skeleton remains mostly invisible during ordinary life. People notice movement, posture, and physical shape without thinking much about the internal framework beneath them. Yet beneath that familiar appearance lies an astonishing level of organization, refined through millions of years of biological adaptation. Bones support weight while remaining light enough for movement. They protect delicate organs while still allowing flexibility and motion. They contain living tissue, store minerals, and house active internal spaces, all within the same carefully balanced framework. One of the most remarkable things about the skeleton is how many different problems it solves at once. Large human structures often require separate systems for support, protection, movement, storage, and maintenance. The skeleton combines all these functions together inside one integrated living framework. Bones carry force, joints guide motion, compact bone protects outer surfaces, spongy bone reduces weight while preserving strength. Bone marrow supports blood cell production deep inside protected spaces. Minerals remain stored throughout the framework, helping maintain balance across the body itself. This hidden efficiency appears repeatedly throughout nature. A tree trunk supports enormous weight while transporting water and nutrients internally. Honeycombs combine strength and lightness through organized structure. Bird wings balance flexibility with stability to support flight. The skeleton follows this same principle of elegant biological design, where every material and structure serves multiple purposes simultaneously. Imagine a vast cathedral standing silently beneath moonlight after centuries of storms and changing seasons. From the outside, the structure appears calm and unified, yet hidden throughout the building, countless supports, arches, chambers, and internal systems work together to preserve stability and function. Bones resemble something similar beneath the body. The skeleton appears simple from the outside, yet deep inside, every region contains carefully organized layers supporting the larger whole. Scientists often admire bones because they reveal how nature builds strength through intelligent organization rather than unnecessary mass alone. The skeleton does not rely on solid heaviness to remain effective. Instead, bones combine dense outer layers with lighter internal frameworks, flexible proteins with hard minerals, protective structures with living biological spaces. Every part contributes to a carefully balanced system capable of handling movement, pressure, and survival simultaneously. The body depends completely on this hidden coordination. Every step transfers force through the skeleton. Every breath moves the rib cage gently around the lungs and heart. Every movement relies on joints guiding bones through carefully organized pathways. Beneath all of this, living cells continue maintaining tissue while circulation supports internal biological activity hidden deep inside the framework. What makes this especially fascinating is how invisible most of these processes remain during ordinary life. People rarely think about compact bone carrying pressure through the legs while walking. Few imagine blood vessels moving through tiny channels hidden inside bone tissue. The silent work of mineral regulation, cellular maintenance, and structural adaptation continues beneath awareness constantly without drawing attention to itself. In many ways, the skeleton resembles the hidden infrastructure beneath an enormous city. Roads, foundations, communication systems, and support structures quietly maintain order and stability while life continues above them, uninterrupted. Bones perform similar work beneath the body every moment. They support movement, maintain balance, protect vulnerable organs, and sustain biological activity through systems so reliable, most people never consciously notice them. The relationship between form and function appears everywhere throughout the skeleton. Curved skull bones surround and protect the brain. The rib cage shields the lungs and heart, while still allowing breathing. Long bones support movement through leverage and strength. Internal spaces house living marrow tissue. Every shape reflects a purpose connected to survival and movement. Scientists studying skeletal biology continue discovering how dynamic these systems truly are. Bones adapt gradually to pressure and use. Living cells replace and maintain tissue continuously. Minerals move carefully between storage and circulation. The skeleton behaves less like fixed architecture and more like a responsive living environment, constantly adjusting itself beneath awareness. This understanding transforms the way the body itself can be imagined. The skeleton is not merely a hidden frame carrying soft tissues through space. It is an active participant in life, movement, balance, and survival. Every bone contributes quietly to a larger living system where structure and biology become inseparable from one another. Even now, while resting peacefully, your skeleton continues its invisible work beneath the surface. Bones support posture, while joints maintain subtle alignment through the body. Internal tissues continue maintenance and regulation deep inside the framework. The rib cage rises and falls gently with breathing, while hidden living systems remain active throughout the night. The human skeleton has existed quietly beneath, throughout your life, from the very beginning. Long before you learned to walk, long before you formed memories, long before you understood the world around you, bones were already shaping and supporting the internal framework of your body. Through childhood, growth, movement, rest, and every passing year since then, the skeleton has continued its silent work beneath awareness without pause. Bones support the body against gravity throughout life. They provide the hidden architecture, allowing human beings to stand upright, move through space, lift objects, and maintain balance through constantly changing motion. Joints connect bones together into a flexible framework, while muscles pull against the skeleton to create movement with extraordinary coordination. Every step, turn, stretch, and breath depends on this quiet internal structure, operating continuously beneath awareness. Yet movement is only one part of the skeleton's hidden complexity. Bones also protect delicate organs through carefully shaped structures, refined around safety and survival. The skull surrounds the brain with curved protective layers, while the rib cage shields the lungs and heart without restricting breathing. Throughout the body, the skeleton forms barriers and supports, preserving vulnerable systems inside a constantly moving organism. Deep within bones themselves exists another hidden world entirely. Compact bone creates dense outer strength, while lighter spongy regions reduce unnecessary weight through organized internal architecture. Bone marrow fills protected spaces hidden inside the framework, where blood cells continue forming quietly throughout life. Living cells rebuild and maintain bone tissue continuously beneath the surface, while minerals move carefully through the skeleton as part of larger systems regulating balance inside the body. In many ways, the skeleton resembles an enormous hidden city beneath the body. Deep inside the framework, countless processes continue unfolding quietly without drawing attention to themselves. Tiny cells carry out maintenance and repair. Circulation moves through hidden pathways. Minerals remain stored safely within the structure. Forces travel through organized support systems, while protective barriers surround delicate regions inside. The body rests peacefully above this hidden activity, while the skeleton continues its work silently beneath the surface. Scientists studying bone biology often become fascinated by how efficiently nature solves multiple problems through the same structures. Bones remain strong without becoming excessively heavy. They stay protective while still allowing movement. They behave as living tissues rather than rigid, permanent objects frozen in place through time. The skeleton reveals again and again that biological systems often achieve remarkable complexity through careful balance rather than simple brute strength alone. This hidden balance appears throughout every region of bone. Minerals provide hardness while collagen contributes flexibility. Dense outer layers protect lighter internal spaces. Stability and movement work together continuously through joints and muscle attachment. Every feature reflects the larger needs of the living body itself. The more closely researchers examine the skeleton, the more extraordinary its organization appears. Bones are not dry, lifeless supports hidden beneath skin and muscle. They are dynamic living structures, constantly adapting to pressure, movement, chemistry, and time itself. Even during complete stillness, the skeleton remains active, beneath awareness, through countless microscopic processes unfolding continuously throughout the framework. Perhaps this is what makes the hidden world of bones feel so strangely beautiful when imagined closely. Beneath ordinary life exists a silent living architecture carrying you through every hour of your existence. Your skeleton supports your posture while you walk through crowded streets. It protects your organs while you sleep peacefully at night. It quietly rebuilds itself through years of movement and changing pressure without asking for recognition or attention. The skeleton therefore becomes more than a structure supporting the body. It is a living world beneath the surface of human existence, filled with organization, protection, movement, chemistry, and silent biological activity unfolding every second of life. What first seems solid and still gradually reveals itself as dynamic and alive when viewed more closely. Thank you for listening to the Sleepy Mind channel. I hope you enjoyed learning about the hidden world of bones and the extraordinary living framework quietly supporting your body throughout your life. Beneath every calm breath and every peaceful movement, the silent architecture of the skeleton continues its timeless work through the quiet hours of the night.